Okay.
Okay.
All right, October 3rd, Planning Board meeting is now open. First thing on our agenda, we have general business, Metro Motor Group. This is for Metro Volkswagen, looking for a temporary occupancy permit. John had called me yesterday afternoon, and this morning we went out. They would like to ask for a temporary occupancy permit so they can get their paperwork process going with the building department to get all their inspections completed. So John and I went out there today just to take a look to see what needed to be completed. They still have pavement to do, which is going in tomorrow. All the lighting is done, which from the modification plan that we approved. Landscaping is done, signage, they had one sign that they're gonna change, it had the arrow going the wrong way. So what we discussed was that we can vote on a temporary occupancy permit, subject to, one, when they turn in their as-built plan. Two, all of the paving has to be completed, signage has to be completed. And basically that'll complete the project. There was one area that we saw where when they came in for the modification for the landscaping, they changed the landscape slope and they put riprap on it. And I just wasn't comfortable with the way the riprap was ending at the street. So I mentioned to Paul that I think it's going to be, they have to do some type of a curbing.
Looks like it'll wash out into the street.
Yeah, I mean, even if I, just walking up the hill myself, rocks are rolling down, and so I spoke to them, and I would make it, the occupancy permit, or the temporary occupancy permit, I wouldn't make it subject to that being completed, because that was something separate. As long as the paving, signage, all of those items, as long as those items are complete. But I would also like to put a time frame on the temporary that it would be a 60-day temporary. I don't know what the building inspector puts on it, but I wouldn't want to see it go more than 60 days, only because we don't like temporaries. The building department doesn't like temporaries because we forget about them.
Well, and they're not going to move their cars out of there after they're in.
Right. So what we also talked about was asking for a check for a bond, a $50,000 bond. They put up $50,000. Maureen, can we keep that? We don't have to deposit that check, right? 60 days. Instead of, again, it's there. Hopefully, we don't have to cash it after, a certain amount of time. Obviously, we'll put it in, but we don't have a bond for the project. It's a private development. They're looking for, a little help from us, so I think that would be, they're gonna get it done with a $50,000 check. If we hold it for 60 days, that will be the same amount of time the temporary would be for. If it's not completed, then the check will get put into the account.
Yeah, but then what do we do with it? What can we do with the money?
It's money that they don't have, even if it's, what are you gonna do?
So we're just tying up some of their money. We're certainly not going in and putting up their VW sign for them or anything.
And we're not gonna foreclose on the building, so
No.
it's just, I'm a little concerned that the building inspector would not want to issue a temporary without security.
Yep.
Because, we've.
Is that unusual?
Not for private. He's made it known clear that he doesn't like temporaries because it takes a process to follow through with them. When people add on 10 years later, that's when we find out that it was never converted, they never finished a few items. Monroe Electric, you know, there's been half a dozen of those jobs, and then it's always, right, McDonald's, and we're always chasing, you know, we're making them fix everything that
I
they,
think that's a valid point.
so it's just, I think Dennis, you know, I would hate to have them come through here, and then go to Dennis, and then Dennis said, wait a minute, time out. I issue the permits, and I'm not comfortable with that. So, with a $50,000 check,
Things will get.
we have security,
And we know someone's gonna come back.
they have to submit the as-built, the paving, John's gonna go out there and take a look. And again, we're not meeting for another 2 weeks, so if they have to wait 2 weeks to get the piece of paper so they can go and start getting all their inspections, it's gonna put them out probably 4 to 5 weeks, anyway. So this just, you know, this helps actually, you know, paperwork issues, and when we were out there, Paul had mentioned that Lopes was working with the engineer to come up with something for the curbing where the riprap was, so he's gonna let John know, and we're gonna take a look at it. So that's what Metro Volkswagen is. If that's questions, yes.
When do you expect to put cars on the lot?
And whoever's going to answer that, if you can please state your name for the record. Yeah, no, that's fine. You can stay right there.
Mike Greco from Metro Volkswagen. We will put cars on the lot when we have all this signed off. When we get the paperwork, have everybody sign off on it, then we'll put cars on the lot.
If we do what you want us to do tonight, and things go smoothly with the other departments in town, when do you think you would do it?
Talking to Mr. Brian Dunn, we have the as-bills done, we're planning like next Wednesday or Thursday, hand the as-bills in. Once all the as-bills are reviewed, then we get the signatures from everybody else after the as-bills are reviewed. That might take Friday, maybe Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully next Wednesday or Thursday, we can open up because the paving is going to be completed by the weekend, and the place will be striped, so we'll have everything cosmetically done, and we'll have an answer for the riprap by Monday. So all that'll be done before we even have the as-bills done.
So
that'll
you
be on-
expect to be open for business and have cars there before our next meeting?
Yes, that's our goal.
Okay.
And the reason for that is just because we have.
Before our next meeting.
The only reason for that is where we are now is, you guys know where we are. We're running a small operation. When that moves over there, obviously, it's a bigger operation, so we hired people based on some time frames, and we have to, plan things out. So we have some local people who live in the area and people who live around the area waiting for employment. I hate to keep delaying people with what's going on, because they're good, valuable people that we hired, so we've been holding them at bay, so.
I think when we were out there, we saw some Metro Motor Group watering shrubs in the back there, so.
Well, we had to hire a few of them, so we don't lose them, so.
Yep.
We haven't just doing miscellaneous stuff around the other stores.
No, I just want to say the quality of the plants that we put in for the landscaping looked very, very good, very, very healthy.
Big.
What's been completed looks very nice out there. So.
Not because it's our store, but it's Volkswagen's design, which is actually a very expensive design. It's actually a very nice store, more like a boutique store, not like a big auto dealer.
Yeah,
It's-
but the quality of the plants is very, very good.
Anything else? Russ, Henry, you all set?
Yeah.
Then if we make a motion to grant a temporary occupancy permit with the conditions of, one, we need to receive the final as-built plans, and as soon as they come in, if we could have those submitted to Judith Nitsch, because Nitsch had already started that project, so we've been referring the stuff to him to finish. 2, paving, signage. And when I say signage, I don't really care about the Volkswagen sign, that doesn't bother me. It's the internal signage, the
directional
safety
signage,
issues.
The circulation, yeah.
That's the stuff that I want to make sure that's completed.
Is the offloading designated on the site plan?
Mr. Chairman.
State your name for the record, please.
Brian Dunn with MDL Land Development and Permitting, 480 Turnpike Street, Southeastern. the offloading and loading of the vehicles will remain the same as we discussed through the permit process in front of
Which is
Ford
on-
dealership. So all of the vehicles that are coming and being offloaded and loaded will continue to happen in front of the Ford dealership.
And when you say in front, it's inside the parking lot area, but it's
That's
in
correct.
that main,
I remember now.
it's a main corridor
Yeah,
that
what
goes
we
from
did
one
is
to the other.
We made sure we had a site plan that showed the
Right.
truck traffic coming
Yeah,
in.
no, I remember, because some of the property on Ford is being shared
Correct.
because of the big space that you
So-
paved on the other side.
Given that with the easements, you mentioned today during the site visit about getting documentation for the easements.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Breck before I forget. So, once we have those items,
And the $50,000.
and they're gonna bring in a check for $50,000, Maureen's gonna hold it for 60 days. You get done, occupancy event's completed, you'll turn the check back and won't be any issues.
And what type of check do you want? Do you want a bank check or their check?
I don't know.
Well, their check.
If you're not gonna put it in an account anyway.
I would just, even if it's coming from them, I'm sure they're,
They bounce the check, we'll put it on the front door. Bad check, no. That won't do them well in town.
with the expense and the financial commitment they made to the town of Raynham at this point, I think they'll finish.
Very nicely.
So, again, those are the items that we need to have,
For the CO.
to have the temporary occupancy permit issued. The other item that needs to be completed is gonna be along Church Street, but doesn't have to be completed
Right.
for the occupancy permit, because it's just something that, they can do if you have to finish anything else. We had spoken through the approval process about having conveyance for utilities and cross, you had mentioned when we were,
Are all three properties, or all three dealerships owned by the same entity?
Correct.
Yeah, that was a condition.
And one of the conditions is, and it should be on all of the plans, that if there's any change of ownership, any splitting up of ownership, then there have to be cross easements and things.
okay, so that
between the
wasn't part
properties.
of, okay,
Yeah. Now, you can't do anything until they go to split the properties.
Correct.
okay.
I think that Attorney Dan Vieira discussed that at length.
Oh, yeah, he
To
did.
make sure that.
Okay, so yeah, just so that's on the plan, so if it ever gets sold, then, but if that is on the plans and it does say that, then that's fine, then we don't need anything else for that. So that's it, anything else?
No.
Motion made,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, very good, thank you, good luck over there. When do you have an open house?
I'd say 60 days after we get in there, just to.
Get all the
hopefully
bugs
before
out.
Christmas, maybe
Okay.
the Beginning of December, before things get hectic.
Yeah, all right, well, good luck, and
Thank you. I'll give you-
glad you're back in Raynham.
Okay, thank you. See you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care. Okay, 6:15, we have a continued public hearing for Lot 10, Forge River Park, site plan. And we do have a letter asking for continuance, or did he just call?
He just called,
And he would like to have that continued until when?
2 weeks from now, the 17th. We received the revised site plans, but apparently, they're not ready with a draft decision quite yet.
Okay, Forge River is being continued until 6:15 on October,
Six,
I'm sorry, what was that?
no,
October 17th.
What did I say?
It doesn't show on the bottom that we have public hearing at 6:05 for zoning amendments, and Ed Brennan at 6:30 for,
So you want to put this on for 6 then?
you want to do it before the public hearings?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I would. I mean, it's been in front of us, the plans are done, I think they've done a nicer job than what just from what I looked at tonight with the turnaround, so put it up at 6.
On a related note, I think Lori Monkantine told us today you should have a report on this legal matter of the roadway.
Oh, nice.
And also a couple other projects within the next couple of weeks.
Well, hopefully,
Before the next meeting.
now that he's retired, maybe he's got time, he's looking for something to do, so he's getting right on this one. Okay.
Time to act is not a problem.
October 30th.
Yeah, we had him extend that last time.
Are there 2 positions opening for the town council, or just one?
2.
Some told me 1 part-time, 1 full-time.
Really?
Town council and associate town council.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know, to tell you the truth.
Do we need to?
You would think it would be at the same, it would be the same office, no?
I don't know, I haven't, I'll have to ask Randy, haven't heard
Hmm.
anything.
Okay, so that's continued until 6. And we have one invoice that I sent down for signatures. We might as well get general business out. You want to, correspondence, just make sure we have it
Yes, next week.
in the next week's packet, the fire department. 'Cause that was one thing that we were looking for.
I'm not sure I understand what he said. Maybe you?
He didn't have a problem with the turnaround, is what he was saying.
That's
for Okay.
Ford River.
I asked him.
And I'm not sure, Brooke, I don't want to put it on you, but minutes, did you,
I don't know that I have any.
We didn't get to discuss them today, so
Okay.
I'll move until next meeting.
all right, so we'll table the minutes. Okay, so we only have a couple of things with John. John, Route 138 corridor study update?
Yeah, I met with Grant King over at Serpent on Monday, and the game plan is this: I'm gonna reach out to members of the former steering committee who I haven't already spoken with, gauge their interest in continuing on it, and if there are any vacant seats to fill, move forward with filling those seats. And Grant and I are planning on setting up a meeting early November. And in the meantime, we have a couple of examples, and he and I are gonna work together on a draft bylaw for a mixed-use overlay district, because that was the major thing that came out of that study, was that the committee thought that should be the first priority, and Grant and I agree with that. So he's out of town right now, but we're gonna get going on this because their contract runs out on December 31st. So he thinks we can get most of the work done on a bylaw for Springtown meeting before the end of the calendar year. So that's our goal, is to try and move this forward as much as possible before January. And then we can use MA time to kind of close the gap between January and town meeting.
So now, we received a $10,000 grant,
Yes.
and he's going to be able to fulfill, I don't know if obligation is the right word, but he's going to fulfill his obligation, his commitment that we originally started this
Yeah.
in that short period of time.
I'll have to check with him on the dollar amount. We didn't talk about dollar amounts. He just said his contract runs until December 31st. I'm not sure.
Because
I'm not sure where the dollar amount is as far as.
I just want to make sure, it was, the grant was for the town of Raynham to continue
Right.
the study, and I'm just, I don't want to,
I'll ask him about that when he gets back.
okay.
See where that stands as far as what's been expended and what remains on that. We should be able to get something together, for Springtown meeting. That's our goal.
Okay.
King Estates, things got a little bit confusing. I got a call from Chris Parrish 2-3 weeks ago, and he was discouraged because he wasn't hearing from Lopes to plant the trees. So he had asked for some recommendations on landscapers, and Dan and I contacted Dan. He gave him a few. So he started to move ahead with that, and then I get a call from the guy at Lopes who says, no, he hasn't heard from us because it's been summertime and we weren't going to plant trees. So I said, well, you need to talk to Chris Parrish then, who's with the bonding company. So I thought Lopes was back on board. And all of a sudden I get an email today about this Graves company that they're going to go and talk to the residents, and so I asked for clarification. What it is Lopes did not feel comfortable knocking on people's doors to ask them who wants trees and who doesn't. So they brought in this company to reach out to the residents. So they're actually working with two different companies to actually work with the residents, and then Lopes is gonna plant the trees. So, that's the latest, is they're gonna be reaching out to residents to get the trees planted this fall. So, that's the latest as of today. Fee changes, we won't be discussing tonight, we'll wait until we have a full board. I'll skip to Raynham Woods, because that's quicker. I went to an event in Dartmouth where, as everyone knows, Serpent is updating as part of the South Coast Rail project. 5 years later, they're updating our areas of priority development and preservation areas that they did 5 years ago. They're refining them and seeing if towns want to tweak them. As part of that, the Paramount Drive Commerce Park is already a local priority development area, but Don Sullivan of Serpent said, listen, we'd like to try and get the score bumped up to be a regional priority economic development area. So he asked me to collect some information, so for the past 2-3 days I've been making phone calls to every business there to determine the number of businesses, the number of employees. I got some information from the treasurer today on taxes, and I'm going to bring this all together and submit it to Serpent to make a case for this area to be not just a local area of significance for economic development, but a regional area. And I spent an hour yesterday at Dupree doing a license plate survey. So they have cars from all over the place out there. So, making a case for this area to be bumped up as far as the scoring. So I should be done.
So now, is there, how will the park benefit, or how will Raynham benefit by having this as a regional instead of?
That's a good question, and
Instead
I
of
actually
just-
thought about that,
instead
and I
of
asked
just
Don about that.
local.
I'll get an answer to that.
I mean, I would like,
That was my question.
I would like to know, because, like, you've been on the TIF board for, quite a few years, and is there more that Raynham can offer? I know there's still a few sites in there that are
Yeah.
for sale, and I know
Yeah.
there is a couple empty buildings that are in there for sale, so maybe.
Yeah, I meant to ask him that. when I
It
had him
might
on
be
the phone
interesting to
yesterday.
know.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll get that answer for you, and, yeah, because there has to be some kind of benefit to not just being a local
Maybe we'll be on a
PDA.
regional map or something, who knows? But
Or it's through the South Coast Rail Program, so maybe that'll make them eligible for, maybe it'll make the town eligible for some kind of grant opportunities that
Well,
we
I'd love to
currently
find out.
aren't available to us. So
Right.
I'll get that answer for you. Finally, medical marijuana bylaw. After the planning board voted to hold a public hearing on the draft bylaw that we discussed, and I went to the selectmen the week after, which was last week, to have them officially referred for the public hearing. Selectman Schiavo expressed his displeasure with having it located in the industrial district, and in the days following, it kind of snowballed where Mr. Schiavo, came to the office and said he had been receiving phone calls from concerned residents and all that. So we started the conversation started with, could we potentially, his interest was potentially allowing it as a special permit down at that Paramount Park area, that area designated development. So we started the conversation, we got Dan on the phone about keeping, obviously proposing the bylaw that the planning board voted on, but also developing an alternate bylaw to give voters a choice. We talked about it, but when I talked to town council, there are a couple issues that came up. The town couldn't simply agree to allow it as a special permit in that designated development area because we have the other designated development area on 138 near the Taunton City line. And Mass General Law states that if you allow something as a special permit in this zoning district, you have to allow it in the same zoning district over here as well. And we three of us agreed that that would be basically a death to
Suicide.
that. So, yeah, so.
Busloads.
So when I was on the phone with Mark Anton, I said, well, how about if the alternate bylaw sought to establish an overlay district in that designated development area on Route 44 only? And he said you could legally do that. But the process for that is much more complicated. We would have to not only amend the zoning map, but 3 different sections of the zoning bylaws. And we're right up against the time crunch where we simply don't have time to do that.
Well, is the 6 months not be enough time to?
Well, that's what I'm getting to, Henry, is, so just giving you background. So as a result, while I was talking to Dick Schiavo and we talked to Dan and town council, I said, well, what if we request to the state that they extend our temporary moratorium another 6 months out to June? Well, Dick said that would work. That would buy us time to develop this other bylaw and bring both forward in the spring. In doing my research, talking to Margaret Hurley at the Attorney General's office and looking on their website, I have a high level of confidence that if the town chose to look to extend the moratorium, we'd probably get it, because in looking on their website, I looked up, personally, there's probably more, 72 communities in Massachusetts who last spring asked for and received a moratorium of at least 1 year. And out of those communities, 7 of them got approved for a moratorium of 18 months, a year and a half, through the end of the calendar year 2014. Considering the fact that we only got a 6-year moratorium when other communities got at least a year, to extend another 6 months to make it a total of a year, I don't think the AG's office would reject that. So that's the path we've chosen to take, is put the 2 articles on town meeting floor in October, the one that the planning board developed and the option of going for an extension of the moratorium, and basically let town meeting decide which path we're going to take. They can either choose to vote to approve the bylaw we're putting forward that the planning board's sponsoring, or they can choose to request an extension to the moratorium, and if we receive it, then we bring the planning board bylaw and the alternate bylaw vote
Now-
in the spring.
Now, when we go to town meeting and we present the zoning bylaw for the growing and selling, I guess, of medical
Yeah,
marijuana.
it's a list of activities.
Now, the reason why I bring that up, because the growing and selling of medical marijuana,
Mhm.
it's not just, you're not just having these storefronts.
It could be processing and
They
warehousing.
could actually be growing in a plant, not outside, but they could have a processing plant. So I think that's very important to bring up at the town meeting and at our meeting we're gonna have here on the 17th, because that's why towns are putting it in industrial areas.
Exactly. That's good.
Because they could have a 30,000 square foot plant, growing it and processing it, and then having a little storefront, like you go to Ryan Irons, they have, they're selling lawnmowers, well, next door they might have, a medical marijuana facility, who knows? But to take that and move that somewhere else in Raynham, if that's what the, voters of Raynham want, if they want to put it in Paramount Drive, and people vote that in when that comes around, fine. No matter what, it should be in industrial. So if it gets voted, industry gets voted, we can add additional areas.
Correct.
So my feeling was, let's get it in industrial, let's get the first part done. If we ask for another 6 months, okay, well, now we're discussing the same thing over again in 6 months.
So where's our industrial besides up at the doctor?
That's it, northwest.
That's our industrial.
That's it.
And those are the people that.
North of the highway and.
I don't know, I haven't heard, I haven't heard anybody, but hopefully on the 17th,
Yeah.
people come in, because, we're going by what other towns are doing, that seems like, it's a decent tract of land, and you look up what's up there for buildings. Where else?
Here's the other glitch I thought of, and I just thought of this today as I was doing the work on Paramount Drive. We've established a 500-foot setback from schools. Paramount Drive has a day school there.
But wait, when you talk Paramount Drive, that's a special designated area. That's not industrial.
No, that's, exactly,
No.
but that's part of the point, Henry, is we would establish an overlay district in that, but if you read the
But
purpose.
can you do that?
Yep. Yes, because I talked to Mark Antine, and if you read the definition of the designated development area, some of those activities that are related to the medical marijuana treatment centers are there, like, research and development, processing, things like that. But like I said, as I was driving around, I noticed, I said, there's a school here. Therefore, if we have a 500-foot setback from schools, Where on Paramount Drive can you
Well,
put this?
500
We run
feet's
into the
not-
same
500
issue with
feet's
some
not
of
that
the.
far.
500 feet's not that.
Okay.
The school's at the beginning.
You're talking South Street, right? School?
No,
No.
inside there's daycare.
There's a day school there, near the Stone Forge Tavern.
Next to,
Oh,
next,
I wasn't aware of
yeah,
that.
next to Sylvia and
And is
Quinn,
that-
or the dentist.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
If you take 500 feet around?
I haven't looked at that radius
is
like,
there any
like
place
you
left?
guys asked me
Yeah.
to
Oh,
with the
yeah.
other area.
I would think
but-
so.
Yeah, no, it's gonna take Stone Forge, it's gonna take part of Walmart, which, you know,
So there's a daycare near Stone Forge, is that what you're
Yes.
doing?
yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
So that would eliminate part of that district, so, you
And
know,
again, that's not even coming up at the town meeting. That will be,
Correct.
if the voters want to extend it for another 6 months, then that discussion, we're gonna have to get into a
Another
broader
discussion,
discussion to say,
correct.
okay, well, we suggested industrial, where do you wanna put it? What's, you know,
Well,
bring,
yeah,
come forward and let us know, you know, give us some opinions, and
right.
the selectmen thought maybe that would be another,
I think it's a good idea.
another addition, you know, which we can add on at any time if it's something that we, you know, decided to do, so.
Yeah, so the only, you know, like I said, scrambled, put together a draft bylaw amendment that would, and it was very simple because it's simply changing the dates from the moratorium that got approved last spring. And so that's one of the public hearings we'll be having 2 weeks from now. So, again.
And it's you know, it's one of those things, when you say marijuana, it's always been something that's an illegal substance that, you know, people do or grow in their backyard or whatever, and get high with it. Well, this is a total different thing.
Right.
It's, you know, they're not gonna be, I don't think they're gonna be, you know, sitting out front smoking marijuana joints or pipes. They can get it in pill form, they can get it in, you know,
Cookies, all sorts of food
all
products.
kinds of stuff. And there are, you know, I'm sure there are a lot of people that it would help. I would like to see it be at the pharmacy myself, just like any other drug.
That's what makes sense.
You know, I think it should be, you know,
But that's not what the law says.
no, I know, but that's, you know, that would be my opinion. If you, I go to the pharmacy,
Yeah.
I have September's, you know, allergy month, so I have to go and I have to give my license for Sudafed or whatever it is. You have to give your license. It's not, they don't even sell it on this side of the counter.
Yeah, some of
And
the
it's
things that are prescribed for pain relief, like oxycodone and Percocet, from what I understand, are much more addictive and potentially much more harmful than the use of medicinal marijuana could be. So-
Yeah, so it obviously it's a big deal. Towns are gonna have them.
Yeah, and we have to
And we-
do what we have to do. Otherwise
Exactly.
we'll go everywhere.
And we're not the only town looking for an extension. The town of Abington, who received a one-year moratorium, is looking for an additional 6 months extension.
Okay.
I think they might be pushing the envelope a little bit, but we'll see. So that's-
All right, so anybody out there, we're gonna have our public hearing on the 17th for that. You have, hopefully, people that have interest in it and
The Board
come
of Health
by. and-
agent, the Board of Health Director, Dave Flaherty, has said that he will be in attendance in case anyone has any questions that
Good.
he can answer.
All right, very good.
The hearing's at 6:05.
6:05 on the 17th. Anything else?
That's it.
Russ? Bert, we're glad you're feeling better. No Mai Tais tonight? Okay, that's all. That was a quick meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.